Welcome back to my subscribers and welcome everyone that is new here. And in this video, I'm going to be walking you guys through how I perform a website audit at a glance. This will take me around 5, 10, 15 minutes. It's not an in-depth analysis as I like to do, but seeing how my last technical SEO audit was really popular and a lot of people really liked it, I figured I'd give you guys an update on how I do website audits now when I need to do something that's a lot more quicker and not as in depth. But nonetheless, it still gives me like a quick idea of what are some of the things that this website needs so that we can remove the technical SEO blocks. In particular, the performance blocks, like what's hindering the organic search traffic, what's preventing this website from getting leads, more sales, more revenue, etc. And so we're going to just jump right into it. And we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you what I do. So I pulled up this website here from upwork.com, and some of the tools that we'll be needing are a SEMrush. And if you don't have it, then not a big deal. I'll still show you guys what I do just so you guys can get the hang of what are the big blocks that I'm doing when it comes to this technical audit. So a SEMrush, and then there's this tool called Detailed. It's a Chrome extension. And then we'll be using Screaming Frog. We'll be using Screaming Frog and a plain Google Sheets. That's all you really need. And you can actually use a lot less than these things, but at the very least, we want those tools. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So I went ahead and opened up the website here. I didn't take a look too much at it, but we can understand that it looks like they offer purebred kitties just from the website name here. And what's important to us, if we're optimizing this website from a search engine optimization point of view, from an SEO point of view, then we want to see if things that are in the SEO field, like the best practices, are being used on this website. And if not, we're going to call those out and mention them in the audit, for those that don't know. But that's kind of how I think about it at a really high level. Like, what are the things that they're doing wrong, and what are the things that we can do to improve their website performance that will lead them to more leads, search traffic, more keyword rankings, more sales, and more revenue. So I'm going to take a quick look at this website here. I can see they have testimonials and user generated content. So they have these people with their cats here. They have the reviews here, adoption process, and also I usually start from the top. If I know what keyword that they're ranking for, just from experience or based off what I think the intent is for this page, then I want to make sure that they're including that here in the header 1. And if we can open up the headings tab here, and I'm going to jump right into how I do these website audits. So if I'm going kind of quick, it's because I've done this once or twice here. I want to make sure that they have the keyword inside the H1. But obviously, these are just high-level things. I'm not actually writing these things down in the Google Sheet. And we'll get to that, once we audit this website more in depth. And this is just like a quick 5, 10, 15-minute audit that I like to do when I'm looking at a website or before working with the client. Or if this is your website, then you'll kind of get an idea of what are some of the big things that you can work on to improve your website performance. But I'll review the page here. It looks like they have good reviews here. They're on Trustpilot. They have some of these other either places that they work with or just some certifications and some little stamps there. That looks great. All the types of dog breeds. And I like to hover my mouse over to see if these are clickable links. And we can see on the bottom left side of my screen the hypertext linking to each one of these pages. So if I click on them, it'll take me there. So we could see this URL here. Really nice design and layout, good colors, so strong branding. That's a really important thing as well. Everything looks like it flows nicely just based off the colors. I could tell like they put some work into this little, their design here for sure. So it really stands out from that perspective. That's going to make it more memorable for people wanting to use this website here. But let's go ahead and review what this website is about. So find your perfect best friend, whiskered companion, explore a selection of purebred kittens for sale, sourced from the best breeders. Okay, so it looks like they help find a kitty to adopt or for you to buy from their website. They have an aggregate list of people that they source from, just based off what I read here. And so basically you're going to be able to see different types of kitties and cats that you can select from here. And if we scroll down here, we can see that they have a ton of breeds. But yeah, basically they have a phone number here, which is great. That's above the fold on the website. Above the fold just means like it's above this little image here, this hero image, which all websites typically have. It's not a hard requirement, but you could denote a hero image. When you scroll down the website, you can see it gets cut off here, and we enter into a new section of the website. But it's good that they have a phone number here. I would just probably improve this by just saying like call now, or call to get a quote, call to get us to help you, just based off what the client told me that they wanted to optimize for. I'd probably include that here. We want to get more leads, or we want to get more people to get quotes, or we want them to get help with the adoption application process. So which is why they've included probably this button here. But I think just having like a little section here that says like call for X or call for blank, that would be ideal, because I'm not sure what I'd be calling in for. But yeah, that's something that stands out. So I am being a little nitpicky with these things. Just at a topical, audit, that's kind of how I like to do these things here. Everything else there looks decent from the most part. And again, this is just like a quick 5-minute audit or 10-minute audit, depending on how long this video becomes. But you'll definitely get some benefits out of this for sure here. So yeah, I take a look at the length of this here, the page title, and the meta description. First things first, especially for the homepage. We can see here that this is denoted red for both of these items. So we already know that they went over this character limit here. And same thing here for the page title. So that's something that I want to keep in the back of my mind. And this is important because if this is too long and people are looking for this website here, this will get cut off, So this is what people see in Google search, and we can see that they have a ... And this here, discover a world of purebred, yada yada, is a little bit different from what we have that got cut off here. So it looks like they're displaying this section here versus their 320 characters here. So yeah, I would work on that, and I would work on this section here. Purebred kitties, it looks like that's the name of their brand / website business, but this section here is way too long, and they've included the brand name twice. So these are things that I'm looking at here right off the bat. I may want to do something with this and make it more concise, include a keyword if appropriate. Yeah, so that's something to look out for sure. Another thing I like to do is, if you guys didn't get to see, I typed in site, their website name. So site with the colon, website name, and I did a quick Google search. And we could see the approximate results of the pages indexed in Google. At the moment, it says they have around 1,140 results. And so you can kind of get an idea of some pages that are indexed here. I wouldn't want the shopping cart to be indexed. It's not necessary here. So I would get that no indexed. About us, yeah, you want that. Product pages, of course you want the product pages, the product category pages, all the money pages or money intent pages. Definitely want those indexed if you did, for those that don't know. Homepage, of course, you want that indexed. FAQs, yeah, some of them are optional. Contact us, yeah, you want that. So I'm basically just taking a look here, and they've got the review schema here. Schema is just a type of it's It's a language between search engines like Google, Bing, and Yahoo, some of the biggest search engines in the world. They came up with a language called Schema, and all that means is they make it easy for users to find what this page is about. It basically takes information from your website and it helps present it to Google in a different way that's a bit more appealing to users. So if you ever see, star ratings, 24 votes, that's because they've used the help of Schema Markup to help them populate these results here in Google search results. Not all websites have it, but especially for recipes, if you had a cooking website, you want to make sure you're using Schema so that people could see like a preview of the recipes that you're writing about for your blog or your website in general. It's a good idea to have that. So at a quick glance, that's what you could do if you don't have Screaming Frog, but you want to see what kind of pages are indexed. And you should get Screaming Frog because all the SEOs use it. There's also other tools, but I like Screaming Frog, so that's what we're going to use. If you want to see more of this information here in detail, you could take the URL, open up Screaming Frog. Again, this is licensed, so I did have to pay for it. I think it's like $200-300. It's a great deal. And what I like to do is I like to drop the URL here, and then I like to go to Configuration tab, crawl config. And if I was getting paid for this audit, then I would want to crawl the images as well. But for time's sake and for simplicity purposes, we are going to deselect all these because it looks like they may have a big website. Anything over 100 is, to me, is kind of big. So just by looking at their page, their website, I couldn't get a quick idea of how big and popular is the website. Popular in terms of, do they have hundreds of pages or thousands? Sometimes whenever you go to a website, you could tell right away they have like 2, 3, 4, or 5 pages max. And also when you do a site : website name search, you can get a quick idea if they have a lot of pages indexed or not. But this website here has a lot of pages just from my theory. But you type in the website name here, you drop it into Screaming Frog. And I like to look at the completion rate here. It kind of gives me an idea of how long this is going to take. Is it going to take 5 minutes, 1 minute, half an hour? There are some websites that have tens of thousands of pages, hundreds, or even millions. But for most small websites, I would say a couple hundred pages, that shouldn't take too long. Anything over 1,000 can take some time. So another thing you can do is you can pause the crawl. Or what you could do, if you're like me and you want to learn what I do, is, okay, I get the idea, like, okay, this page is going to keep crawling for up to 100. Not a big deal. I could still make an analysis even before the data is, populated all throughout here. And we could see the running count here for the URLs that this tool is discovering. It keeps increasing, right? And so I'm going to scroll back up so I don't interfere with the scroll here. But what you can do is you can go to the overview tab, which should be open, and you can get some high level ideas of what these things do. I'm not going to cover all of these because there's a lot of content to cover. We want to make sure that they have HTTPS, which is the secure version of a web page. I believe this is a Google ranking, so you want to make sure that you're having your URL populate as HTTPS : / whatever the page is about. And we could see they have a lot of HTTPS URLs here. And it looks like they may have one that is an HTTP for their homepage. So right off the bat, I would want to get that redirected because we don't want this page actually loading. And it looks like it's already redirecting just based off what I see here. I typed in this here, but when we check here, we could see it took me to this page here. So yeah, I have this other tool as well, forgot to mention. It's called Ayama Redirect Path. You can find it on Google Chrome. It's really great because it tells you if a web page has been redirected, sometimes without you even knowing. So we could see here, when I typed in this old URL and hit enter, we could see that I populated at 307. And this just tells Google like, hey, this web page here, this old one, the HTTP version, has been redirected and sent to the HTTPS, the secure version of the web page. And we can see that 200 just means it's working, it's in good working condition. That's good. So 307 means like, let's redirect this page to a new location. Let's send people to a new location. So for example purposes, for those that don't know, let's say I wanted to get rid of this review page. And typically, it's a good thing that this happened. You want this page to open up on a new tab. So that's already like another thing that you can call out in a website audit, because you don't want to redirect people outside your website. There's no purpose of that. You can easily just have this open on a new tab. I held down Command, I think you could use Command on both Mac and Windows. And you want it to do this versus clicking here, it takes you here. Not good. So yeah, these are things that you want to look out for sure. But let's say I wanted to get rid of this page here and redirect it to another location. I may just want to redirect this page to the pages path or to the home page, just depending on, you know, what this page is about. So if I had a new health guarantee page, then you could tell Google like, okay, this page has been moved to a new page that's called this, you know. But yeah. So going back to this website audit here, you can see that just by auditing a website, you really need a lot more time than just 5, 10, 15 minutes. And we're going to pause the crawl here so I could show you some other things that I look at. But it's a good thing that this populated, because we can right away, we get a lot of information starting from the top down using the screaming crawl tool here. So another thing I like to look at are the response codes, and in particularly, I like to see how many 400 errors we have here, and we can see that they have a good amount, 64. So typically, if I open up these broken pages, because that's what a 404 page means, and we could see on the left side here, not found, and we can confirm this with my other tool called Ayama, the page is not found. So this is telling the search engine like, hey, whenever the Google crawlers tried finding this website, they populated a 404 page, and that just means a 404 error. It's a broken page. So you want to redirect this page to somewhere else. And when you look at the URL, you pretty much know it's not going to load because we have a .com here and a .com here. Typically, you only need one. So, so this will work, but not the other way around. So that's another thing that you can call out in your website audit. Now, there's a lot of things that you can do, but basically, that's something that you want to look at. You want to fix this because you don't want to send users to a broken page. There's no purpose. They can't do anything with that. And they may leave your website and go to a competitor's website and buy, purebred kitties from a competitor website that's ranking high in Google search results, or that just appeals to them in general. So that's something that you want to fix. Obviously, telling this, website owner, or if this was your website, then you'd want to fix this for sure. So we could see more of those internal errors there. External errors we could see here, and we can open these up by right-clicking on them. Yeah, we have a weird page loading there. We want to work on those as well. But here's where it gets really interesting. Page titles. It's surprising because a lot of websites, I feel like this is like known knowledge when you start learning SEO, at least it was for me. So speaking from experience, one of the first things that you learn in SEO are, make sure that your page titles aren't above 60 characters in length. Meta descriptions over 160 characters in length total. And yet a lot of websites disregard that information and they don't use it. So here we can see that there's almost 1,000 opportunities to improve the page titles here, which is a lot, 1,000 times. We could see that they have over 700 URLs that are over 60 characters in length. Not good. You want to make this a lot shorter. You want to be more concise and have a keyword included inside this section here. And whenever I clicked on this section here, for those that don't know, it'll take me to the title section here, or you could scroll to it and find it. And from here, you could see all the title lengths over 60. And if you want it to be more organized, you could just click this once or twice, and you can have them be presented to you in ascending order, or if you're like me, you can have them be presented in descending order, and you can get an idea of what these pages look like. So I'm going to ignore the pagination for these examples. Pagination just means like whenever someone visits this, perhaps this category page or collections page, we will see a page number denoted by 2 or 3 in the event that they have like a lot of kitty types or kitty breeds for sale. So if you scroll down, this is what a pagination is: page 2, page 3, and so on. And that's basically what we're seeing here in the page titles. So Google, what they see, if we use our handy little tool here, detailed, this is what they see. This is what Google sees. And I believe another way to find out is if you copy the URL and you use the site colon function there that I showed you guys earlier, you may be able to see it here as well. Not always, but in some instances. So there's a lot of opportunities there. What I would do at a glance, like, again, this is a topical audit. This is something that's not supposed to take 5, 10, 15 minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes at the most. Say like you're giving a quote to a client, or you want to get a quick idea of where a website's performance lacks from an SEO point of view. Quickly, this is what you do. You look at these things here. This is what I do anyways. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities there. That's like 1,000 opportunities there. There's about 1,000 opportunities to improve the length of these descriptions and optimize them so that they have a keyword included. And given that this is a topical audit, meaning we're not going in depth, then I would want to make sure that we're including a keyword inside the descriptions and inside the page titles. So that's another thing that you could do, the keyword research behind all these pages, which is crucial if you want to get found for, say, like the different kitty breeds that you guys offer and sell for this client example purposes. So keyword research is huge. H1s, some websites, depending on how they are, either bought or downloaded or used, some of them don't have header 1s. But in this case, we can see that they do have header 1s at a glance. And that's basically this section here. And you can confirm that with this tool here. And we can also see that this tool populates 2 H1s, meaning this might make it harder for Google to realize, why they have H1s, 2 H1s, duplicates. And it may, it may make it harder for Google to determine what this page is about. But if they realize they have only 1 H1, that'll make it easier. So anyways, it's best practice to only have one header 1. And if you wanted to see what this looks like, this header 1 is just like a web design that you could see in the background. If you right click on a page and you click on inspect, we could change what this looks like this, which is typically what I like to do. I like to pull this up. I'm going to move my face over here. So this is what the page code looks like. And so I'm going to click on Command F, and we could see I could find parts of the website here. And if I look up H1, we could see that they have an H1 class here. That's just saying like they have an H1 in different locations here. Excuse me, I'm not going to go into what the H class means for this purpose, but we could see if we look up the H1s here, we could see on the right side bottom corner here, H1 is populated one of 184 times. Now, obviously, you're not going to want to scroll through all those examples, but at a glance, you could see that they have the H1 class here, an H1 ID here. And if you hover your mouse over it, you could see the different parts of the page that are assigned as an H1. And if I keep clicking enter, it'll take me to different locations on the page where the H1 tag may be used. People call them H1 tags because when you're using WordPress, you could see, actually I don't know why people call them H1 tags, they just are. But you can see that H1 tags are typically used on the top of the page. You want to make sure you're including a keyword there if appropriate for the type of page. So that's another thing I look at there, but obviously I wouldn't spend too much time here. What's more important to me are the characters and length for the page titles and the descriptions, which we've reviewed. We want to make sure that the website is designed properly. So we want to make sure we have one H1 per page. H2s, yeah, you want to make sure you're using that to break up the content so that it's formatted properly. And it tells Google, it gives Google more context on what the page is about. And it could give us more opportunities to use a keyword inside those sections if it makes sense. Because we want to make sure that we're optimizing for users first, your potential customers and clients, and then search engines second, which is best practice. And I'll try to include a resource in the description below. So if we were crawling the images, then we could see more information here. But since I deselected that option in the crawl configuration tab here, we didn't crawl them because that may have taken this website audit a lot longer. But yeah, I would take a look at that and make sure that they're including the alt text. And I want to make sure that the images are not over, I'm going to say 500 kilobytes in size. Sometimes it could be smaller depending on the file type. Like some of the more modern versions of the website images use different file names, and those can be compressed, meaning smaller, and they can show really high definition for not too big in size, in kilobyte size, which is how they're measured here. So you can also use something like image compressor and compressor images if they're too big. But sometimes if you compress them too much, then they'll become blurry. So just something to keep in mind. You got to find the right balance there. Yeah, so those are typically the sections that I look at when I'm auditing a website at a glance. Now, let's say I wanted to make more use of this information here. And say I don't want to use Screaming Frog to look at my data here. What you can do is you can just click Shift Command down, or just click on the first URL here, scroll down, click Shift, and then select this, and then copy it. Sometimes it works when it wants to. And I could just call this URLs, and I could just paste them here. I'm going to move this timer here over here. And I can copy the status codes in order. I'm not going to click on the status code because that's going to sort this information in a different way. Right? You could do that. You also want to make sure you look at the indexability status of all these pages. And basically you just want to make sure that the most important pages are indexed and the ones that don't need to be indexed shouldn't be indexed. Sometimes informational content like the card page, typically people are not searching for cards in Google search results, so they're not ever doing that. Let me rephrase that. So you want to make sure this gets no indexed. So, if you wanted something that's really primitive in terms of like a website audit, but effective, then you could just make a note section here, and it may say like, de-index this page, or like if say I were to do keyword research and I was doing something more in depth, I may say something like, make sure to include keyword for this page, etc. You get the idea. And say if this page was broken, then I may want to do something with that page as well. But what I like to do as well is I like to add filters, and we can just find the pages that are broken. So like, let's say this page is broken, which it is here. According to the page and according to the status code, then I could just say redirect. And if I want it to be faster, since I know all these pages are broken given their status, then I would just type redirect. You could pull down this little thing here, or you could double click on it and it'll populate these results here as well. But make sure that you open up all these pages to verify that they are in fact broken. Yeah, that's something that I would do anyways. And also, we're not going to go into the other status codes because this is just a quick example of the things that I'm looking at here. But you can see that this tool here, Google Sheets, is really powerful because you can look at data very quickly and you could sort it, filter it based on your choosing, using the filter by value, sort by color, assuming you were to tag them, some of these errors with different colors, etc. But yeah, those are the high level things that I'm looking at. Typically, I want to make sure I'm looking at the count for the pages. Say if I was given a quote and I want to see how much time this is going to take me at my pay rate, I would give people a quote just based off the size of the website and the amount of work that needs to be done. This will be done once I perform a topical analysis, kind of like what we're doing here. And another thing I like to look at is I like to copy this, paste it into semrush.com, and you can get an idea if you click on all time. We can see if their performance is going down over time or if it's rising. We can see it's declining at a good rate here. This past year, it fell starting January pretty hard, and it looks like it's having a hard time to recover. But these are all different things that you want to take a look at. And it's interesting how they had a huge spike down here. So I wonder if they bought backlinks, but those are some things that you can look at as well from a SEMrush point of view. So which is why these tools work in tandem. They work really well when you pair them. So yeah, you can analyze the website backlinks here. Like if they're pointing to a page that makes no sense and that's not relevant to the niche, like dog related, pet related, or cat related in this instance, then or a sister industry, so like pets versus cats, so like pets.com, then that's a relevant sister industry. And the more specific, typically the better, but most of the time your competitors are not going to want to link to you or vice versa. So that's why I said if it's in a related industry that you want to get links from that. And backlinks is a whole another topic, but just make sure that when you're optimizing a website, for those who don't know, you're working on on-page, technical, off-page, and content. And if we go to the backlink analytics, we could see more data here on what needs to be done. But yeah, there's a lot of things that we could talk about here. Do follow link shares too high, so I may want to look at that. And just looking at this here, the ratios look very off. It's not even a 1-for-1. It's like a 40-for-1 ratio. The location from where the backlinks are coming from, I may want to look at that as well. But referring by authority score. So a lot of low authority score websites are linking here. Say like Forbes or like a Yahoo or like a YouTube.com. Those are really high authority sites. Those would be ranked in the 90 to 100 because everyone knows them. They're really popular. Everyone links to these websites, etc. But yeah, it's good to have a nice mix if possible. But when you're first starting out, you may get random websites linking to your site. Not a big deal. But yeah, eventually you want to work your way up. Or if you have good connections or a good SEO person to help you, getting these high authority websites to link to your site is really going to help you with your SEO efforts a lot quicker. But yeah, we could see Network Graph says that they are suspicious. So something to keep in mind when you're doing this topical website analysis. You may want to say like, okay, I may want to dedicate a few hours, given that they have thousands of backlinks or referring domains. So one referring domain can link back to this website multiple times, which is why you see the difference here. And we can see if they're running paid ads here as well. What kind of keywords that they're ranking for. We could see in the previous graph that was going up. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I do a topical analysis. I mean, I'll look at the website. I'll look at the page titles and descriptions right off the bat. The word count, the word counts change a lot, so don't take this too hard. But I have another tool called Word Counter. They're both okay. Like I said, they vary, but it gives you a good idea in the thousands of where they're at. So H1s, they have 3. We want to work on that as well. We talked about that earlier. We want to use Screaming Frog to see if they have broken status codes, which are denoted by the 404s. Boom, we see one here. And we want to look at the page titles, broken pages we can see here. URLs, we could see at a glance roughly how many there are, but I paused it. Remember, I paused the crawl, so this is not the entire amount. Page titles, descriptions, H1s, etc. Another thing I may want to look at are like, do they have, Google Analytics and Search Console installed? I may want to do like a GA for Google Analytics. They have a Google Tag Manager, yeah, so it's very likely they may have Google Analytics installed and Search Console, and if they don't, then they want to set that up. But if you're working with the client, you can ask them these questions beforehand, so it's good to know, and it's also more data that you can use from firsthand data sources like Google, where we could see other things about their website's performance. So it's really crucial to also use Google Analytics and Search Console. I breezed over it because typically if you're doing like a topical analysis, you won't get permission to their backend of their website initially, or their Google Analytics or Search Console. But once you get paid, typically you do. And so this is kind of how you can perform a quick 5-10 minute audit. It shouldn't take you longer than this if you're giving a quote, or if you want to get some quick ideas of, do I need to work on my page titles and my descriptions? Do I need to build out new pages? Do I need to build out new pages depending on the intent? Like, am I expanding to a new area, right? You may want to look into local SEO, Google Business Profiles, and the optimizations that go aside with those things. And you also want to make sure, are we including all the pages on their site? These are things that you want to mention and include in your website audit report. And there's a lot of website audit reports. You can find some on Google. I think SEMrush has some. Ahrefs may have some as well. And they may have checklists that can assist you performing website audits. And I do have a checklist and other tools that I use, but I'm going to make a second video because this video is getting kind of long. So I want to make sure that I'm providing as much value as I can to you guys. And so, yeah, make sure you're using Screaming Frog, SEMrush, and Google Sheets basically to sort the data included here and then start calling out what needs to be fixed at a high level. And obviously, if you don't know how to do some of these things, then you can look up SEMrush's blog on how to do, what does indexing mean? What do robots files mean? All those things that we could see here. If we type in this, they're using Shopify. These are standards, disallowed directions that they're telling Google, the Google robots that find their website to see what the page is about, to get it indexed and ranking. Yeah, the Google robots are what are seeing these sections of the website. We could see the user agent, ads, bot Google, yada yada, some other robot name there. But yeah, they're using that. And then another thing that we could do is, if we could scroll down here, we could see if they have a sitemap here. Multiple ones. You know, Shopify is a great tool that does a lot of this, the heavy lifting for you when it comes to optimizing your robot's text file, which is great. But so does WordPress. They have like a lot simpler robots file. But you just basically want to make sure with the robots file that you're not blocking, you know, the Google crawlers from finding your website. So yeah, you could do some research on that. I'll link to some SEMrush content, blog content that they have. They have a really good resource on that. But yeah, and you can also look at the keyword rankings here. Again, I'm going to keep this brief since this video is going a lot longer than I thought here. But basically, you can see the keyword rankings and you could filter them based on position here, just to get an idea like, what is this page is about? What are they ranking for? And you can see the pages that are ranking for said keywords here on the right side here. And I wouldn't trust the intent too much. It's okay, but sometimes they're not as accurate. So something to keep in mind. But yeah, stay tuned for the next video, and I'll be showing you guys some other tools that I use for technical SEO audits. This is just what I do at a quick glance when I'm looking at a website. You know, holistically, I'm not really going deep into the weeds just yet until either, you know, I get paid or I'm doing this for informational purposes. So the next video, I'm going to show you guys technical SEO audit that goes a lot more in depth, and we're gonna audit another website where we could see more details about what goes into the back end, the specifics of what a website audit should be for SEO. At least that's how I do them, and I've gotten great results for my clients. So stay tuned for that next video. Drop a like if you want to see more long content like this one.